Hello everyone, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. So if you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you another Let's Play episode of No More Future. I'm a little bit strapped for time right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump right into it without the recap. Hope you guys don't mind. This won't be a common occurrence. But anyway, guys, let's jump right into it. Alarm chain, you're up. Let's go. You weren't expecting Daphne to worry about you like that, but you smile at her unexpected kindness nonetheless. Truth be told, there are other things you could have shared with her regarding this incident, but they take too long to explain to cover a short elevator ride. Speaking of, you quickly press the button leading to the main lobby on the ground floor, since the doors behind Daphne had yet to close. As the doors slowly close shut, the girl snorts and shakes her head at your actions. Thanks. This whole morning's been a mess. I'm not used to waking up early on the weekends. I think I still have a foot or two stuck in dreamland. Don't mention it. I'm just trying to be of help. The girl reciprocates your helpfulness with a faint smile of her own, seemingly relieved. Though the two of you felt somewhat distant yesterday, back at the cafe, it appears that things between you have improved somewhat. A pleasant silence fills the air until you reach the main lobby a few floors up. As you leave the elevator, you can't resist the urge to ask the girl a few more questions, if only for the fun of it. So, since you say you're usually still sleeping at this hour, where are you going all of a sudden? The train station. I need to take a ride to New Relay. Your shock at Daphne's words is so evident it stuns even her in place. Wait, you're heading to New Relay too? Too? You're also going? Yeah, Noticing that both of you asked each other questions begging long-winded answers, Daphne sighs as she begins to answer yours. Like you said earlier, my apartment got cleaned up of all the mess by the time I had arrived. Had Apollo not told me about what happened, I might have never realized it. Aha. It doesn't seem to explain anything, though you'd wager it's because your friend isn't quite done with her explanation. Or that would have been the case, had those idiots not forgotten to replace my damn console. Stupid thing still can't boot up for shit. Oh no, that sucks! Yeah, you can say that twice. I immediately sent in a complaint to the number they gave Apollo, and they said they'd send in a replacement today. Problem is, the dude who was in charge of delivering it here got sick at the last minute, so the console's still stuck at an electronics store in New Relay. What a mess indeed. Daphne truly cannot seem to catch a break. I see, and you don't feel like waiting a couple more days, I take it. Hell no! By the time I get it, I'll have to hook up all the peripherals again, re-download my games and everything. I don't feel like doing all that after a full day of dealing with those pricks at the bar. I can imagine. So, you're going to New Relay to fetch the console by yourself? Pretty much. Might as well take care of that now, rather than tomorrow when all the stores are closed. Besides, if I don't waste any time, I should be back by midday, right in time for lunch. Apollo's food is even tastier when you don't know what he's going to be cooking beforehand. You don't have any trouble believing that. It sounds like your friend has her day all planned out. What about you? What brings you to New Relay? I'm not sure, honestly. One of my friends over at Pandora invited me over for a tour of the place, and maybe much later on. And maybe lunch later on. I figured I might as well show up, since I don't have much else to do. I see. I guess you gotta keep in touch with your friends from time to time, huh? Especially when they work at the company that made you. Something like that. The words made you sound more than a little unsettling to you given their implication, but you decided to let her remark slide for now out of fear of ruining the mood. Well, I guess we can head there together then. Take the same ride there, then split up at the train station. I think the journey will be a lot less boring, with a big android like you at my side. Really? You want me to follow you? It's not like you're opposed to the idea in the slightest. In fact, you think it'd be pretty fun to hang out with Daphne for a while. You're merely surprised at the request is all. You definitely didn't expect her of all people to suggest something like this. Yeah, you got a problem with that. Though the girl sounded serious in her delivery, in your heart you assume she's merely messing with you. Good old Daphne. Of course not. Why would I? Besides, you're the one asking for trouble hanging around someone like me in public. You might just get yelled at very aggressively if you aren't careful, like those two officers who fainted on me the other day. The girl cannot resist laughing at your ironic remarks, a cocky smile on her face. Oh, I'm supposed to be worried about hanging out with you? Give me a break. Now let's get moving already. The train's waiting for us, and I'm getting sick and tired of this musty old lobby. Right, lead the way. Alright, there we go. Oh, and by the way, what's this thing about you yelling at police officers? Oh, you're interested in that? Where? Well, where do I begin? The two of you are in remarkably good spirits as you leave the condo behind, still busy chatting about your past exploits. You're not sure what twist of fate led the two of you to spend some time together on this otherwise unremarkable morning, but you definitely feel as though the trek to the train station will be a lot more fun with someone like her laughing alongside you. Water! I need water! Oh my god, delicious. Such good water. The streets are more crowded than usual, in spite of the relatively early hour. Everyone's out and about enjoying their weekend, hanging out with friends, or simply strolling about without a care in the world. You and your friend entertain a lengthy conversation as you make your way to your destination, which seems to have the human particularly amused. You really said that to an officer? Daphne can hardly believe you as you finish recounting the incident with the authorities from the other day. Yeah, in hindsight, maybe I was a little... Damn, that's pretty cool. I'm impressed. Though it's wholly in character, you can't help but be a little shocked by the amazed look in your friend's eyes. You are? Of course I am. Anyone who says that kind of stuff to a policeman is good in my book. Honestly, I didn't have you pegged as the rebellious type, though I gotta say, I'm pleasantly surprised. You're not sure whether rebellious is a particularly accurate word to describe yourself or your actions. Reckless is perhaps more fitting. Daphne doesn't seem to mind one way or the other. Whether you did it out of bravery or stupidity, she seems to appreciate your small victory of the local authorities no matter how meaningless it may be. Either way, I'm surprised you'd heard nothing of this incident before. It was all over the news the other day. Yeah, well, I'm not the sort of person that likes to keep in touch with the news all the time. Really? How come? Well, for one, I can't really bring myself to care about which American top model hooked up with which British royal that day. I have more important things to worry about on a day-to-day basis, namely how to take care of Apollo and myself. I see. I suppose you don't really care about real-world events, so as long as they don't involve you or your family. Pretty much, yeah. Like I said, it's not a thing for me. Still, isn't that a little reductive? It can't be that bad. Hard disagree. All the channels pump up the same mediocre crap. I can't recall the last time I heard a journalist speak and felt like I'd learned anything useful, or like I'd managed to keep all my brain cells intact for that matter. Huh. I see. You've never heard anyone speak so harshly of the news before. What reason could she have to be so jaded? Well, I still give them a glance every once in a while. I think it's important to stay updated on what's going on in the world around you. And besides, sometimes you stumble into some pretty cool stuff. My friend Mary was interviewed the other day while I was returning home from New Relay. She had a lot of cool stuff to say about synthetics. Well, I'm sure it's nothing I can't learn just from interacting with you. You're a little stunned by the amount of confidence your friend is showing to you right now. Is she trying to say that she trusts you? Either way, you're relieved that she feels so comfortable around you. It's definitely a nice reprieve. From all the awful stares you're receiving from the locals as you traverse the city. Whether the onlookers are young or old, men or women, everyone seems to have a reason to stay away from you or whisper behind your back. Your friend seems to have picked up on the tension around you just as quickly as you did, and isn't afraid to voice her thoughts on the matter. God, won't these losers just get a hobby or something? Fuck! You're no stranger to being stared at in fear or You're no stranger to being stared at in fear or worse everywhere you go. You're slowly starting to accept that as part of your experience living as a synthetic. Any good-hearted person should never have to live in fear. But these people aren't just treating you like that. They seem to be showing the same kind of contempt towards your friend, too. It is disheartening, to say the least. I guess I shouldn't be surprised about this kind of reception. I am public enemy number one on a lot of people's minds right now. Shooting at those cops the other morning definitely didn't help. The girl appears more than a little surprised by your interjection, almost like she didn't expect you to speak up at all right now. Eventually, however, she reverts to her regular annoyed look as she tries to reassure you. You say that like what you did wasn't totally justified. If teaching those jerks some manners means being on these idiots' shit list, I'll be glad to have my name written right next to yours. Or I would be glad about that if I wasn't already there for different reasons. You're not sure how you're meant to interpret that stray thought of hers. Is she trying to say that she's been in your shoes before? Did you have some bad experience with the police as well? The girl seems a little confused by your question, almost as if it were a non sequitur. However, it doesn't take her long to shake that thought out of her head and reply to your query as usual. Yeah, something like that. Cops in this country are useless at best, and they're rarely at their best. God knows where the fuck they all decide to go when you actually need them. She definitely doesn't seem to be a stranger to close encounters with law officials. In fact, it seems as though she's even more familiar with them than you are. You'd ask for clarifications, but given how evasive her answers were to similar questions the other night, you have a feeling it wouldn't go over well. Honestly, I still don't know what they were trying to do, cornering me like that. I still can't make any sense of it. What could have driven them to be so aggressive towards me? What was it? Fear? Hatred? Paranoia? Beats me. You said earlier that you can't be arrested or prosecuted by conventional means, right? You silently nod to the human's assertion. Maybe they were clueless about it. It's possible that they simply didn't get the memo. Unlikely. Policemen are hardly the type of people to skip out on homework, especially when it comes to knowing who they can and cannot arrest. Even if that knowledge had just been released to the public, they definitely would have been the first ones to know. And besides, there's something wrong about the way you said they acted. What do you mean? The girl seems hesitant to answer. I don't know. I just feel like their behavior, or at least the way you recounted it to me, was pretty strange, even by their standards. They knew that they couldn't arrest you, and yet they still pretended as though they could. That they did. If they were truly aware that they had no power over you beforehand, then their actions make even less sense than you originally thought. The only explanation you can come up with is that they misunderstood the law, or maybe they were overconfident in their authority somehow. Well, I guess even policemen aren't immune from making mistakes. They aren't immune from making intentional mistakes, either. What do you mean? First they tried to arrest you, then when that didn't work, they tried to deactivate you the only way they knew how. It's like they were desperate to... The girl makes as if to say something, but stops herself at the last moment with a defeated sigh. Nah, we still don't know enough to say for certain. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to start ranting like a conspiracy theorist back there. The frogs are gay! Don't worry about that. I don't mind you getting interested in my problems. In fact, I'm happy that you care. And I do agree that there was something fishy going on with those two. Even that FBI agent that visited me the other day said as much. Maybe I'll find out what it really was once they're done auditing them or whatever. FBI agent? Oh, right. You never told Daphne about what happened before that EMP hit the building either. Maybe that's a story for another day. Alright, if you say so. Besides, we're almost at the train station anyway. We should focus on getting aboard the closest ride to New Relay before we get lost in our conversation again. Couldn't have said it better myself. Come on, let's go. And so the two of you resume your walk towards the station, the human strange theory still whirling in your head. Conspiracy or not, the more you think about what happened at the New Relay station the other day, the stranger that string of events becomes. As you approach your destination, you wonder whether you'll ever get a straight answer to your questions one day. You give a brief look to your surroundings as you cross the entrance to Bloomberg's train station once again. Alright, I'll save it right here. Get some water. Okay, all good. Delicious water. Okay. Not much has changed since the last time you visited, aside from the time shown on the large clock in the middle of the building, which, once again, is completely and utterly wrong. To be fair, it's only been a few days since you last visited this place, so the only real difference lies in the way the light brightens it up at different times of the day. The station is still bustling with commuters of all kinds, likely heading out on a leisure trip to other more interesting cities. Many of them notice your arrival, but only a few spend more than a few seconds staring at you two before returning to whatever they were doing before. The rest are likely to be staring for a while. You and Daphne try your best to ignore said onlookers as you approach the old digital board that shows the train's timetables. God damn it, just my luck. Your friend appears quite annoyed as she shakes her head at the board before you. What's going on? Just look at our train details. They're the third from the top. You give the board a quick glance per the human's request, and soon spot the details of your arranged trip right before she said you would, as well as a few extra words in red you weren't quite expecting to see. Detoured? Are you kidding me? Yep, probably some issue with the mag field along the rails or something. Happens every once in a while. That, or something more serious. You shiver as you briefly consider a wide variety of equally unsettling scenarios, but your friend doesn't appear fazed in the slightest. Either way, nothing we can do about it. We'll waste another 15 minutes thanks to that detour, but that shouldn't be an issue for either of us. Now let's head to the platform. Our train's going to be here in 2 minutes or less. Right. Lead the way. Detour, huh? Very, very interesting. As the two of you start walking away, you notice an ever bigger crowd of people staring at you two from afar, shooting videos and taking photos while murmuring among each other. Compared to the last few times you've been surrounded by groups of people like that, their stares feel even heavier than usual, though it's possible that you're merely imagining it. You try not to let that bother you as you hear the sound of your ride coming into the station at last. The two of you enter the first carriage you find, not really giving much thought to its placement or current capacity. Though you had hoped people would have learned not to fear you by now, it doesn't take long for the rest of the commuters to spot you among them and begin to panic. Most of them flee to other cabins, the rest, the train altogether. By the time the doors close behind you, there's no one left aside from you and your friend. Wow, that's some reception. Gotta hand it to you, Isaac. Not even I was ever welcomed somewhere this poorly. Though you feel a mixture of embarrassment and regret at your friend's words, a wave of shame washing over you as you realize how deeply you dragged your friend down with you, your friend merely shrugs everything off with a smile. Ah, well, I guess this means we don't have to work for our seats. Without saying another word, the human sits down in the nearest chair and splays her arms out on the headrests behind her as she begins to trail the ramp up as the train begins to ramp up in speed. She seems to be taking this mortifying turn of events well, all things considering. You, on the other hand, find this to be anything but an ideal arrangement. You approach your friend cautiously, holding your head low as though you personally offended her. Once you're done sitting down next to her, you let her voice be heard once. One of my cats is throwing up. Okay, sorry, that threw me off, guys. Once you're done sitting down next to her, you let your voice be heard once again. I'm sorry. What for? You know, for... You gesture to all the empty seats around you. Everything. You briefly quiet down, expecting Daphne to say something about this whole mess, but she simply keeps watching you, waiting to hear what you say next. Over these past few days, I hung out with a lot of people. You and your brother, my friends at Pandora, my cousin, Nim. I guess I got a bit overconfident during all that. I thought it was fine to hang out around others, so long as they didn't see me as the threat or some kind of freak. I never thought about what would happen if I ended up hanging out with those same people around others who didn't share their feelings. You scratch your head as you ponder how best to formulate your apology while your friend keeps staring at you as though you're speaking in a dead tongue. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry for dragging you into this mess. Forcing you to share all this nonsense with me, all because we're friends. Wow, you're apologizing for that? Now it's your turn to be stunned while Daphne mouths a reply. If you apologize every time someone else is acting like an idiot, you're going to be saying sorry until the end of time. Besides, if you think you're guilty for causing all this nonsense, you should hold me accountable for that too. I don't think I get what you're talking about. What are you guilty of exactly? Of attracting people's negative attention, of course. What else do you think? Upon noticing your still confused expression on your visor, the human sighs as she tries to explain herself. Alright, maybe I never got this kind of reception before when I boarded the train, but trust me, you're not the only person who gets stared at and gossiped about everywhere you go. I mean, did you really think all those people we met along the way were staring at us just because of you? You did notice a lot more nuisances around than usual today. That's true. But was that really her fault? That you can't bring yourself to believe. The human, on the other hand, shrugs it all off as though it were nothing more than a regular occurrence. I guess that's why I'm not all that bothered about everything that happened today. It really wasn't that big of a deal. But why? Why would anyone treat you like that? Daphne raises an eyebrow at your query, seemingly questioning your intelligence all of a sudden. Are you really asking me that, Isaac? You of all people should know the answer. It's the same reason everyone got shit on since the dawn of mankind. It's because I'm different. Because my species name starts with an H instead of a U. It doesn't matter how I see myself. All that matters is what they see me as. And all they see when they look at me is a weirdo, a freak, just like you. You suppose you can see why she'd think that. Her appearance is definitely striking, if nothing else, and her appearance as a rare species might have burdened her more than she initially let on. It seems like your predicament and your friends are quite similar in the end, though not entirely. I don't think it's quite the same thing. People aren't afraid of me because I look weird, only because they think I could turn out like Kronos. Please, like you could ever pull off something like that. The girl dismisses your consideration so nonchalantly you're almost offended. What makes you so sure I couldn't do something like that? Because if you could really do something to scare these idiots out of their mind, I'd bet every cent I own that you would have done it already. On one hand, you'd like to think you're not quite as vengeful as your friend purports you to be. On the other, she makes a damn good point. Look, what I meant to say is, I'm sorry too, alright? I didn't mean to turn this into a rant. I wanted to make a point that you aren't to blame for what's happening to you now, but I guess I ended up painting myself as the victim anyway. It's alright. I get it now, even if it took me a while. Truth be told, you had some suspicions that Daphne was the subject of people's interest even before you saw her at the cafe yesterday, but you paid it no mind, thinking the attention she received was positive. Evidently, gauging her words and the expression on her face, it is not. You really did take a while, huh? I thought you'd put two and two together way sooner. You can't help but look away in shame as your friend rightfully calls you out. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I'm not an idiot, but I wouldn't call myself smart either. It takes a while for me to figure things out. Hell, I spent an eternity trying to realize what bothered you about those guys yesterday back at the cafe. And I'd be lying if I said that was the only time I was slow on the uptake. Huh. In here I thought you were just too nice to figure that out or something. You can say naive is fine, or maybe optimistic if you want to be even more generous. Obviously, that optimism got a lot harder to keep up after I got diagnosed with cancer and everything. Even so, you still try to stay positive as much as you can, even with half the world against you. Even now that so few friends and family are still by your side. Alright guys, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been another episode of No More Future. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and leave a super thanks if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!